I'm going to leave you my business card, and I think it's really important when you leave somebody the business card that you leave a lasting impression. So I just wrote something down you'll always remember me by when you look at my business card. So here you go. Actually, before I give it to you, can you give me any two-digit number? I don't care. Just any 2 digits are fine.
42.
42? That's crazy. You're not 42, are you?
No.
You don't look 42. Here, go ahead and check it out.
Nice.
Hi, my name's Chris Smith. Thanks for buying the Super Sharpie. The Super Sharpie's been out for more than 5 years now, and the Super Sharpie has become sort of the mainstay in a lot of performers' repertoires. And the reason is it gives you the ability to make a prediction about anything on a moment's notice with a nice, deep, dark Sharpie stroke, pen mark, that everyone can see. It writes on every type of surface. It writes on glossy business cards, coffee cups, you name it, even photographs. You can make the prediction on anything you want, playing cards as well. And also you can use the Sharpie, as a lot of magicians do, in your walk-around magic to have spectators sign cards for your ambitious card routines and so forth. Now, the Super Sharpie looks like a normal Sharpie on the outside. What's different about it is it has a secret writer right at the top. And the secret writer has a little writing tip on it. And the writing tip on the secret writer perfectly mimics the writing on the business end of the Sharpie. And this guarantees that when spectators look at your prediction, they can't tell. They think it was written by the regular part of the pen. Additionally, since the secret writer is actually built onto the pen, there's only one property to look after. You don't have to look for a writing instrument in one pocket and then a secret writer in another pocket and get that on. The handling is so smooth, all you have to do is pull out the pen and you'll get the secret writer off, make your prediction, get the secret writer back on right under the spectator's nose. They'll never see it because you use the item that you're writing on for cover as you're writing. Anyways, let's get started. With your Super Sharpie, you got some black putty. Just go in and take a very little out. You need very little black putty because it's so sticky. And stick it right on the back of the pen. And just put it on the circle and press it down. When you press it down, sort of flatten it out like a pancake. All the while being careful not to go over this curved rim. Stay within inside the curved rim. First of all, it's neat. It doesn't get messy. And secondly, and this is really important, you want to make sure at any time you can take off the cap of the pen and put it on the back of the pen without any resistance or any problem. And then when you want to take the cap off, you should be able to take it off and put it on the front of the pen. You'll start with the Sharpie upside down in your right hand and the business card or the playing card or whatever you're going to write on in your left hand. You'll say to the spectator, I'd like to make a prediction. As you do that, ostensibly you're going to be taking off the cap of the pen to make your prediction. What you're secretly doing is stealing the secret writer in the process, and it works like this. The index finger comes to the front or the back of the card along with the thumb and grabs the secret writer behind the card. It twists off the secret writer as in one motion the cap gets held by the fingers, the pen is turned around to go into the cap, and then you're in this position. So now we've got the pen in the right hand and the secret writer with the writing tip down in the left hand. Now you just said, I'm going to make a prediction. Remember, they can't see the secret writer. And you can write anything. You can write a pound sign saying the number. You can spell out I predict. For brevity, I'll just put the pound sign. Now they think you're done at this point. You said you've made a prediction, and so it's very important to place the pen down on the table or to place it behind your ear. You can even place it in the left hand if you like. It doesn't matter. Psychologically, you just want to make it clear that you're done writing. From this point, what you're going to do is transfer the secret writer to the right thumb, press it on as the right hand takes the card, like so. Now you're in position to write. So you started when you took the cap off by saying, I'd like to make a prediction, and now they think you've written the prediction and they think you're done, and now you're just waiting. You ask the spectator a question at this point. You say to them, can you just let numbers come into your head? Just freely associate with numbers for a moment if you can. Can you just pull two of those numbers out of the air? Any two-digit number. When they tell you the number, let's say 73, you're going to secretly write their number. 73. Like that. Now you want to make sure when you do the writing that wherever the spectator's eyes are, you hold the card as sort of a shield between their eyes and the secret writer. So if they're taller or you're sitting down, you want to face the card up like that. They're at the same height. You want to have it at this level. If they're sitting down, you want to have it at this level. That way your thumb and the thumb's movements are shielded. Additionally, when they say their secret number 73, you can repeat the number back to them as you do the secret writing. It's an offbeat moment. You can hold the card like this and say 73 as you pull the card back and do the writing. Huh, interesting. Now you're back on beat again because that's exactly what I wrote as you hand them the business card. The important thing to remember here is to do the writing on the offbeat. When they give you the information, 73, ask them a question because it makes them introspect when they do that. You can say 73. You can even miscall the number. Did you say 72? And they'll correct you and say 73. It's important to say something loud and to sort of ask a question. It covers the sound of the writing, your secret writing, and it puts them on the defensive for just a moment while you do the writing. Anyways, after you've done the writing, you can actually hand them the card with the dirty hand with the writer on the back. As they take the card, you withdraw your hand with your fingers covering the secret writer. They'll turn over the card, discover the prediction, and you're done. Now to replace the writer on the back of the pen, it's quite simple. First of all, this is also offbeat because they're kind of freaking out, showing their friends the prediction you just made. But if they are burning you, it doesn't matter because they won't see it anyways. Basically, you'll hold the pen with the point sticking up in the air like this, with the writer still in this hand. You're going to take the pen kind of like a cigar, and you're going to hold it in this position. Now this is just an open position so you can see it. Normally you do it facing the spectator so they wouldn't be able to see it. But in the open position, you're going to put the cap on the front of the pen as the secret writer snaps onto the back, and then you're done.
I'm Most Perlman. This is the Super Sharpie, one of my favorite products on the market. This thing is killer. I'm going to tell you how I use it in my day-to-day performances. Quick note on the gimmick. It's right here on the back. Got some black tack. I use these little Staples 3x5 spiral bound notepads. These are my favorite. They're spiral bound along the lengthwise. Much easier to use. Now, here's my general handling for where I have the gimmick, how I take the gimmick off, and how I put it on. So when I'm using the marker, I generally hold it just like you're holding a writing device, and I cap it back up. I want to mimic that exact same action when I'm stealing the gimmick. Here's the way I do it. We're in sunny Las Vegas, so my hands are slightly wet. I'm going to dry them off. I want you to see exactly how this would work, even in humid conditions. I'm using my fingers kind of like scissors. Imagine scissors opening up. My first finger and second finger clip the gimmick right where the boon writer is. I squeeze it against my thumb so the black tack is there, and I pull it off. So that's an exposed view for you. I'm pulling it off just like this, and now it's placed right at the bend of my thumb. This allows me to keep the pad open, so I'm able to grab things, touch things. Now let's put it together. That's the way I steal it off. Here's the full action. I steal it off. I use my fingers, this is an exposed view, to hold the marker, take the cap off, place it on the back, and now I'm able to do whatever I normally do. I can write with it, I can put the marker down, I can pick up the pad. All I'm aware of is that the back of my hand is always facing the audience. This would be the good angle. You go up too far, they can see it. You go down too far, they can see it. If you go to the sides, they can see it. So as long as the back of your hand is always facing this way, the gimmick is concealed. Now, once I've done any of the secret writing or anything I'm going to do, here's how I put it back on the marker. I pretty much reverse the actions. Back of the hand is always towards my audience. I pick up the marker. Here's the exposed view, that's where it is. I take the cap off. And now here's an exposed view of the action. I place the cap onto the marker, but I don't put it on tight. I leave it on slightly tight. And now this gives me the justification for loading this back on. Now this is exposed. Normally my fingers come up and block it from the audience perspective. And the reason for me coming back here is to tighten the cap. So under cover of moving back here, I load the gimmick back on and I seem to tighten the cap. Release, that's how I load it on, that's how I take it off. Now for my normal routine that I use this for 90% of the time, I ask somebody what their name is. I tell them, think of a number between 1 and 100. So let's say we're using somebody in the room here. We've got Maxwell, he's far away. I'll write down Maxwell. And I will turn this around. Sometimes I have a nice little joke. I go, just your name. Nothing amazing so far. Gets a laugh. Or not in this room. Just spider webs. No, I'm kidding. So I'll tell them, think of a number between 1 and 100. Have you got it? I'll write down 22. That's pretty much the number one most selected number in the United States. I don't know why, it just is. If you tell somebody between 1 and 100. If you tell them to just think of a number, 7 is much more likely. But that's kind of, seems like a psychological force, so be sure to say between 1 and 100. I show this to everybody around me. Notice I have not stolen the gimmick. I put the pen back on. I show this to everyone but Maxwell. And I ask them, what do you think? Is that a good one for him? What do you think? I want everyone to feel like they're involved. I don't want this to seem like a secretive trick where I wrote something sneaky, I'm not showing it to anyone. Fair and open. He's thinking of a number, I'm going to write it down, I hope it's right. I want everyone to think I might actually be getting it wrong. I want that built-in suspense. Then I seem to change my mind. I second guess myself. I don't know, I'm getting a weird vibe, I don't think that's right. Now I steal the gimmick. So now, under cover of taking this off to cross this one off, I steal the gimmick, okay, so you can see this, put the pen on the back, I cross this off, and I pretend to write a new number. Now if I'm in close quarters to other people, when I pretend to write another number, I make sure to use my nail to scratch. So I make a noise by scratching, okay, that's really important. I'm not really writing, but it makes a noise. I can't tell if we can catch it on the camera, but that's important. I put the marker down, I put the pad down, and I say, that's it. I'm committed. And I do this action of going like this, and I make sure to say I'm putting the marker down, that's it. I can't change my mind, I'm committed. You really have to say that. It's very important, otherwise people forget it. And later they think, oh, did he still have the marker? What happened? This creates the memory in their mind of you putting the marker down. I ask one question, I say, was your number less than 50? No matter how he responds. If he says yes, I go, I knew it. If he says it was greater than 50, I'm like, yes, I knew it. Same thing, doesn't matter. I pick the pad up, I look at it, and I usually hold it in my left hand, very calm and casual. I might even pretend to flash it to somebody. I go, don't tell them. I don't let them see it though, it's a complete bluff. I say, don't tell them. I switch to this hand, and I say, what number did you think of? Now there's two different ways that I will perform the rest of this routine. One, if I'm in a loud environment or people are far away, I'll do a miscall. So when he says the number to me, he goes, 38. I go, what? 48? And as I repeat to him the wrong number, I will swami in 38. That happens as I miscall the number. I say, what? 48? And he goes, no, 38. As he's repeating it to me, I've already finished writing it. I will have lowered it into view, and he'll already see the 38 as he says it for the first time. In reality, he's saying it for the second time, but since I didn't hear him the first time, in his mind, he's thinking, that's the first time. This is the strongest reaction you're going to get. Huge. because they feel like they're seeing it as they're saying it. It's unreal. If I'm in a small, closed place where I'm close to the people, they know I'm not deaf, they know I'm not miscalling it. If the person's 2 feet away and you go, what, 48? You look like an idiot. Don't do that. Here's the way to do it in that case. You're going to use another spectator to your advantage. When they say the number 31, I turn and I look at the other spectator and I say, did you tell him? Now this is really important. When I look at this other person and say, did you tell him? It's almost like an accusation. People get a little shocked. They go, no, no. The important part is you get eye contact with the person closest to you, the person who might see you swammying. So right when I say, did you tell him? That's when I'm writing 38 or 31 or whatever the number is right here as he's looking me in the eye. He says no, and I go, and I point down, and he sees it, and he reacts first. So you get that reaction. His reaction leads to the other person's reaction. They go, did he get it? And that's when I riff this out. And I said, that's the number I was thinking of. And I stay nice and calm, nice and relaxed. I hand it to them. I generally put the pad down. I'll put my hands down at my sides, relax. And then to ditch it, pick up the marker. Be aware of your angles. Always the back of your hand towards your audience. If in doubt, be safe, cup your hand a little more. Pick up the marker. Here's the ditch from an exposed view. Put the cap on. As if to straighten it out, as if to just give it that extra little oomph. Bring the cap up and you squeeze it, release. Everything is self-contained. You are reset. Your Super Sharpie is re-inking. And you're a happy performer. I'm Oz Perlman. That's Super Sharpie.
This is what I came up with, and I think you're really going to like it. I think it truly is the cleanest method out there, okay? So, it goes like this. Instead of preloading the writer on your thumb before you do the write, you're going to actually write something down on the card, and then you're going to cap it like you're putting it away, and that's when you're going to steal the writer. And it looks like this. This is the handling. So you're talking to your spectator, you're running whatever pattern that you want to run. You just simply, in the guise of talking, you're just talking with your hands, gesturing with the pen. You're going to reach up, pull the pen out, very naturally, very simply, cap the pen, and write whatever you're going to write. In this case, I write your number will be, that's what I write, okay? From that point, I just come back and I flick the pen, and all I do is just cap the pen like you would normally cap the pen. Then it goes back into your hand from this position, okay? As I'm talking, continuing my pattern, I'm going to slowly just steal the writer off, either by twisting the pen or having it preset. You can have it preset by just breaking it slightly like that. This is something you'll do before you start presenting the trick. Once it's in that position, you'll be gesturing, you'll be talking like this. Then you'll slowly pull the writer off and pull it into this position just like that, okay? And this is what the audience is going to see. The audience is going to see that. That's all they're going to see. What you're going to see is this, okay? This is what you see. Now, by holding it in this position, this will allow you to put your thumb right where you want it on the writer, and the writer on versus the writer on your thumb, actually, okay? So that way it'll be positioned just right, okay? So that way you can just kind of guide it, and then I like to have the writer toward the tip of my thumb, the top area, and now it's going to be cemented onto the tip of my thumb, okay? So just like that. So now I'm set, I'm ready to go, okay? It's ready to go. All I got to do now is transfer the pen to this hand, and all I do is just go like this behind the card, and then with the shade of these two fingers, I just come down, I grab the card, and I separate the hands. So what I've done is I've just switched the pen and the card. That's all I've done, okay? And so the justification is I'm here, so the justification is I'm just switching hands, just like that. Now I can hold the card, I can do right. If you're really super good at this, you can do a single right with one hand. I like to assist with this hand, and then I can do whatever rights I want to do, 1 or 12, 3, whatever, okay? Then from that point, the card will be handed out to the spectator. It comes back, and you just load it, clip it back on, and then you're done.
When you notice that your secret writer is writing more lightly, or you forgot to replace the secret writer and the ink dried out, this is how you replace the ink at the back of the pen. Keep in mind there are 2 different ink cartridges in the pen. We're just going to change the one at the back right now. Start by getting a paper clip or a little piece of wire. We're going to make an impromptu hook. So just straighten out one of the arms and just get a pair of pliers and bend the end of the wire to 90 degrees. If you have something else around your household that's like this, just use that instead. Now remove the secret writer, and to remove the ink cartridge on the inside, just stick the hook inside and grab it and just pull it out. This is your dried out cartridge. Now obtain a brand new Sharpie pen from an office supply store. We're going to take the pen apart to get the ink cartridge. So just twist in the center to remove the gray barrel and remove the ink cartridge. Line this up with the old ink cartridge end to end so you can cut it to the same length. Get a pair of scissors and make a little notch. Once you've made the notch and you know where to cut, you can make a proper cut. Cut all the way through and try to keep it square and even. And double check one more time just to make sure it's the right length. Discard the old cartridge. And with the new cartridge, stick it into the back of your Super Sharpie. Tap it in lightly, and then use an object like the pen cap to countersink it. And it should come to a stop. It should seat firmly. Replace the secret writer and let it soak up the ink for about 30 seconds. Then remove the secret writer and test it and make sure it writes smoothly and darkly. That's it, you're done. To change the ink at the front of the pen, you'll want to twist the pen in the center, cap in one hand, gray barrel in the other, and gently remove the gray barrel. This will expose the ink cartridge that supplies ink to the front or the writing end of the pen. You'll want to gently remove this cartridge. You want to be careful not to squeeze it too hard. You'll get ink on yourself, and place it aside. This is the dried out cartridge, the cartridge we want to replace. Get a brand new Sharpie from an office supply store, and you're going to open it the same way by twisting in the center, cap in one hand, gray barrel in the other. Remove the gray barrel. That exposes the brand new ink cartridge, and then pull the ink cartridge out. Now you'll notice that both ink cartridges on one end have a hole in them, and it's very important to keep track of this hole because that's the hole that the nib or writing end of the pen fits into. Now I put the cartridges side by side with the hole on the left-hand side, so they're lined up. And what we're going to do is trim down the longer new cartridge to the size of the old cartridge. Just get a pair of scissors and make a little mark or a nick. And then once you've made that nick, you can make your full cut. Check it one more time just to make sure that the cartridges are the same length. Everything looks perfect. Now, once again, the holes are still there. They're intact. Keep track of them because this is the end that's going to go into the pen first and attach to the nib. So discard the old cartridge, and with the new cartridge, you're going to stick it into the black pen cap. Now there's the hole one last time, and there's actually, it's kind of like a spike. It's actually the nib or writing into the pen is going to go right into that hole. So when you put the cartridge in, go gently but firmly and give it a slight twist, and you'll actually feel it seat. And that's the nib going into the ink cartridge. Now that ink cartridge can provide ink to the tip of the pen. Once that's seated, you can put on the gray barrel. And you'll have to press firmly on both ends so you get a nice snap. And just to make sure it's firmly seated, the black cap should be right up against the gray barrel. Remove the black cap, and when you close it, it should give you a reassuring snap, and it should be right up against the gray barrel. And that's it. You're all done.